Another ash tree bites the dust. This is one of our shade trees we have out here near our house. And if you look at that branch, you can see little blonde spots all over it. Downy woodpeckers and nuthatches have been working this tree over. It was severely dying of emerald ash borer, and it was looking pretty weak, and man, in 2 days it dropped all the leaves that were left on it. And you look at those branches, and my gosh, these branches are dead. It was almost dead, and then just in a matter of days it was real dead, just real fast. Anyway, those bugs totally girdle it under the bark. And ash makes great firewood, and a lot of these limbs are dead. They're already seasoned out from being out here in the summer. Pretty good sized tree. There's a lot of wood in this tree. And I thought we'd just run through the progression of cuts. Of course, we did an open face cut first. Your open face cut aims it, and we were aiming it right just about to the corner of the dog yard up there. You can see chain link fence way up there. We were aiming it kind of at the corner of the dog, toward the corner of the dog yard is where we were pointing it. Just off of that a little bit. And you can see our hinge. Here's our hinge wood right here. Anyway, so this is the piece we cut out of the front. Cut that off the front. And this is the first cut. I stood on the far side, cut so the chainsaw was facing out this way. Cut that down till and kind of got a bonus. There's a root swell. This root swell here, I was able to put the hinge way over here. And one of the neat things about doing the open face method, so you make this cut first. This aims the tree, and you cut down till you're about 80% of the diameter of the tree to get your hinge the right length. And then you turn your saw and you do the undercut. You know, cut this side next. So you start cutting over here, and you can, because it's right there in front of you, you can make it match up real well. And if you hold it level, you're going to be real close. But the neat thing about that is, as you start cutting, you can look right through this slot. You got a slot here, and you're looking through that slot, and bring your chain to right here, and shove the dog on that saw into the bark. And then you rotate the saw around that dog, and you're looking through your slot, and you'll see your chain come in right over here. When that chain comes in right there, you just bring it to the end of that cut and stop, and you've got a perfect corner. Now, I was off just a little bit. You see I cleaned it up a bit. You see I have a little slab there I took off the bottom. I was real close, but anyway, I brought that cut right back to the right spot, and then I just had to clean it up a little bit. When you make your bottom, in the old-fashioned method, they make their cut on the bottom first and then take out the top, and you're operating blind. I've seen tricks like where they'll put a stick on the far side of the first cut so they can see where it ends. But with the open face method, you don't have that problem. Make your first cut, set the length of your hinge and the direction of the hinge, and as you make your second cut, you can actually watch that chain come right in. And that is a huge advantage. It really makes cutting the tree down easier. And then, because I was operating from that side, the top of the chain was toward the hinge. Well, that top of the chain, as you forecut, that saw wants to migrate toward the top of the chain, because the way the chain is going around the end of that bar, it's pulling your bar over. So you have to, if you're cutting from that side, you have to really pay attention. If I was cutting from this side over here, then the chainsaw wants to drift out here. That's not a hazard. So you do two things. You hang on tight and really guide that saw and make sure you're not drifting into your hinge. You don't want to cut your hinge off. But the big trick is you don't try to run parallel to that face. You run away from that face. And you can see my cuts. I was coming right out here. I angled over here. When I punched it out, Then I brought my chain on this end right back to the thickness I wanted on that hinge, and I stuck the dog into the bark. And then you take little bites. You look around and see how much room you've got here. You rev it up and pull it a little bit, rev it up and pull it, and then you look around there and see. And when you got that thickness just right, then you stop. And that way you end up with a good hinge all the way. And I've got, you know, almost about 1 3/4, 2 inches on that end, about 1.5 inches on that end. Real nice hinge. And you can see, well, you can see the progression of the cuts on the bottom of the tree, on the bottom of that log too. You know, angled out that way, and then cut it over. You can see where I brought it over right in here. I was over about almost 2 inches on that end. Just bring it over a little bit at a time. And I had cut some limbs off the backside. You can see there's one of them there. It had some limbs on the backside messing with my balance a little bit. I took those off with the pole saw, and I wasn't sure how well balanced I was, but I got rid of a lot of back weight taking those off. I think I took off 3 branches back there. Yeah, took off 3 branches. And that helped a lot with the wind out of the south. It's real windy today. Wind out of the south to help push the tree over in the correct direction. And then what I did is I punched the saw in here and cut out half of the back. Just brought the saw right over through here, cut out half the back. Put a wedge in there, pounded the wedge in tight right there. And then I came back with the saw. Put it in here and cut up until I met where I'd punched through before. And this one, with the wind behind it, when those met up, that tree tipped right over. It didn't have to wedge at all. So that worked out really good. Big trees should make you nervous. Little trees will kill you too. These big ones, if it goes wrong, it's hard to get away from it. This thing is wide all the way around it, and if something goes wrong, it's hard to get away. So that worked out really nice. And you know, check for side lean, check for forward and back weight. Evaluate how you're going to aim the tree in regards to those weights. and lean. Wear your safety gear, have your wedges. Thank you very much. See you later.